General Robert Walsh of Academy Securities writing, the conflict is transitioning to a war of attrition. There is no clear checkmate scenario. General Walsh joins us now for more. General, welcome to the programme, sir. Are you suggesting this war has entered a new, more enduring phase?
Good morning, Jonathan. Thanks for having me today. You know, the war changes as time goes on. And what we're seeing now is, from a U.S. perspective, it is going into a little bit more of a war of attrition. There's military sets that we've talked about in the past on what the U.S. military and the Israelis is trying to take out. They're systematically doing that. They're very successful from a military standpoint. But as we see that the nature of conflict is really a clash of wills, and that clash of wills is going on now between both, the U.S., Israelis, and Iran. And Iran has a say-so in this. And what we're seeing from Iran is they're taking a very asymmetric approach to this. And their asymmetric approach is, number one, their objective is the regime to remain. But we're now seeing what's changing a little bit in that is they're also looking at cost imposition on the U.S. and Israelis and also the Gulf partners and the rest of the world. So that cost imposition now is changing, and we see those attacks now becoming more prevalent on, infrastructure in the Persian Gulf, and we're seeing it more and more taking place. And that's that cost imposition that they're now starting to put to make it so painful that the U.S., the Israelis, and the world community want to get out of this situation.
General, we do have the United States sending a second amphibious assault ship to the Middle East. Can you walk us through what these highly trained Marines could potentially be used for in the region? Sure.
I think as you look at the combatant commander, Admiral Cooper in the Central Command, he wants to have as many capabilities in his hands as he can use as possible. As the planning takes place, we see what we call branches and sequels. As things start to change on the battlefield, then different branches and plans come into play. Having a Marine amphibious group with a Navy amphibious ready group with it, Marine amphibious unit, that ARGMU capability brings, it's a toolbox in its own, which adds to the toolbox that he has. And it brings many capabilities that comes to bear. It's got a reinforced infantry battalion with plenty of fires capability or attack capabilities. It has a full range of aviation assets, from attack helos, heavy transport helos with the CH-53s. It's got the MV-22s with our tilt rotor assault support aircraft that can go out long ranges and do raid type missions or insert missions. And then it's got F-35s on board too that can provide the close air support that the team would need. But in this case, they'd be inserting themselves into a very large joint operation where there's many capabilities that the CENTCOM commander has to be able to fit this tool into his toolbox and be able to use it as he sees fit. So some of the missions you could see, you talked about Karg Island, there could be raids there. Going into the, if there were any indications that we'd go into the nuclear sites to try to hold those. We've got very highly trained special operations forces that can do those missions, but you'd probably need a conventional force to go in that the Marine Expeditionary Unit can provide, to go in and provide some of that security, along with many of the joint assets that would be on top of that, providing air superiority.
How vulnerable will they be, though, in a narrow corridor?
I think what you're seeing right now is why the U.S. Navy is not operating inside the straits, because those conditions have not been set by the joint force to be able to bring Navy ships in there yet. The Navy would rather stand off than stand inside there, where they're at much more risk. So the threats to the Navy, both from drones, missiles, and fast attack craft, has to be taken down more before you start to see them entering. So this is a phased campaign based on conditions. And what we've seen recently start to really play out is, as the air superiority has been gained, the U.S. has now brought in capabilities like the A-10 aircraft, which you saw that operate at a very low air altitude. It can see targets and take out small targets like the fast attack boats, or where they've got missile sites hidden, along with these attack aircraft that are in. So they're bringing much more capabilities in there that are for that type of mission to set the conditions for Navy aircraft that come in.
General, always appreciate your time, sir, for framing things in the Middle East. General Robert Walsh of Academy Securities.